Hey everybody, it's Greg McVeary here, and I'm just going to do a quick virtual hangout for IndieWeb meetups for people who are wondering what's happening with Google Plus. So I'm going to give a few minutes and I'm going to share the links to the show in the different places to see if anybody wants to join in. Then I have a quick 10-minute presentation, and then after that, I'm going to let people just chime in and hang out. So I'm going to share the link on, I've already posted it to Google Plus, and I'm going to share it on Twitter as well. Give me one quick second. Let me just. So actually, you know what I'll do is I'll share my screen so you guys can actually watch me do this. Screen share, application window. Oh, we'll wait till after I log in, and then I'll share it. And as I log in, now let's share, and then I will send out the link. So I'm going to screen share, application window, pick this post, and here is the link view. So I'm just sending that out now. I posted the link. And I'm going to have that go to Twitter. I'm going to send it to Mastodon, and I'm going to send it to Microblog as well. So I'm going to syndicate a bunch of different places. I just hit publish, and that's it. My post then goes out. Oh, and then so you can see it there as I hit proceed. You can see that the post is there, and I'm publishing it now for everybody to go see. And it's going to Medium and to Twitter and to Mastodon and Microblog, all the places. So if you go and check it on Twitter right now, you can go find it, and then I will go post the link on Google Plus as well. Here. Link in there, and I'm going to mute my camera and phone for a little bit, or mute my camera and sound while I wait for people to join in. I'll give it about 3 minutes, and if nobody goes in, I'll just launch into my presentation and take it from there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead because we do have a few viewers. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If people do join the chat, they can hop right in. I do have a quick slide deck to fly through, and just as a brief introduction to exactly what we mean when we say IndieWeb and all that. So with further ado, let me get that started. I'm going to share my screen again. Oops. Don't want to do that just in case I go full screen or people jump in. So I want to start the conversation off. What did you like about Google Plus? And then if you have a website or blog, tell us about it. So if people jump into the conversation, and I will watch on Google Plus and on Twitter, you can send that out via a tweet, or you can send that out as just a something on Google Plus. I don't really care, but or blog about it next week. That's the point. You're in charge. So what is this that I liked about Google Plus? It drew educators. I actually ran a bunch of sessions at Ed Camps back a few years ago called "Why Does Google Plus Kick Twitter's Ass as a PLN?" And I've been thinking about this for the last few days. It comes down to three major points. One, we had full control over our community. That's what Google gave us, control. Now, would I have liked a write API as well as a read API? Yeah, sure, that would have been awesome. So I guess I didn't give us full control. But in terms of being able to curate a community, it was awesome. The comment feature was amazing. Like, you think about trying to use comments on Facebook or on Twitter, like, you have zero control on how to shape it. You couldn't, Facebook, you can't hit return. You can't have any spaces, forget about formatting. You could do anything you wanted in the comments on Google Plus. Make it like a blog, basically. But if you were the person who started the original post, you got to control all of you moderated at the individual comment level. That was amazing. You could control trolls on Google Plus like no other social network has in the past, and that was awesome. The layout was clean, and we liked that. The circles, okay, they were cute, but most people didn't use circles. It came down to the groups, and the communities and groups that we built on Google Plus as educators were awesome. And that's how I got started. I think my first Google group was something called, this was before G Suite, even before Google Apps for Education. It was called Google Apps as a Free LMS. And we basically started hacking, like, it was probably just, we were trying different MOOCs and trying these out. We're like, how can we do all this on our own? But for teachers, who may not know that much HTML or be able to build all this stuff. And we're like, well, I have an idea. Let's use Google Docs and Blogger and Google Plus. And we basically hacked together in Google Sites. We hacked together, our own MOOCs using Google Apps before, like, Google Apps was really a thing. So it was fun. But really, IndieWeb, what is that? Well, it's a noun, it's a verb, it's an adjective, it's everything. It's basically your web. Don't think you have to do anything. If you have a website, you have a URL, a domain, a blog, something where they just can't say, oh, by the way, we're shutting down and you're over, goodbye. That's IndieWeb. If they can, like Google Plus just did, say, oh, guess what? Show's over, park's closed, Moose Out Front should have told you. Well, that's not IndieWeb. That's a corporate silo. And we want a people-centric approach. So that begins basically by, we want the web the way it was meant to be. Nothing new, no third-party silos, just everybody having their own websites and their own blogs and figuring out ways to network together. And really, if you get that far, that's enough. That's what we as educators need to protect the web, is bringing this to students. So when I think about it as educators, why is it important? I almost think IndieWeb's like a moral imperative. We look at fake news. Look at the study that just came out from the Knight Center yesterday. All the fake news was driven by 3 to 10 sites, or 10 sites overall. You want to stop fake news? Stop using the top 10 most frequented websites. That's it. That's Facebook. That's Instagram. That's, Twitter. Figure out your own alternatives. I also think it's an imperative for our students to have their own blogs, because you'll never know how truth is shaped online until you shape your own. That's like, think about it. We're asking students to develop critical media literacy skills, but they've never even thought about, how do I present my most credible self? And the web and the identity and blogging and our websites, that really is the identity work that we need to get done. This is the imperative that I worry about. Is when the web was being built, it was built by the others and everyone who is kind of doing it to, build their own identities. The web was being built as they built their identities. And granted, we built in some structural problems into the web, especially around diversity and inclusion, that we need to work hard to get across. And I'll talk about how IndieWeb gets us there too as well. But the point was, we built the web while doing the identity work. Now, this is being sold back to our children. Like, do you really want your students' friends to be chosen by an algorithm on Facebook and Instagram? Deciding what's cool in your school? Like, done by an algorithm? By a machine deciding whose friend gets hottest on the list? Who gets the most likes? I just don't think that is the kind of thing we need to teach our students. I also think we need to settle down our digital experiences and talk about long-form writing. Notifications are drugs. Every time those phone beeps, every time our kids want that, whatever it is on Instagram, a like, a post, something on Snapchat, that phone going constantly off is a drain on their brain, a drain on their learning. Instead of us using these tools to recreate new networks, we're allowing the tools to use our students. And so I think we, as teachers, have to get students onto the IndieWeb. So why is it cool? Basically, because we become the network. Be your own social network. And we do that with tools like web mentions and social readers like Aperture. So, like, what do I mean when I say web mentions? Well, it's pretty cool. You saw me send one at the beginning of this talk. And what happens is, you can see right here in a screenshot from my WordPress site is, right now I have 3,284 approved comments. I mean, think about that. People talk about comments being dead. But when you collect them from across the web and you have a strong network like educators, comments aren't dead. We've just handed them off to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's time to take control and bring those back. And web mentions allow to do that. And it's really cool. So I sent a post out. It got syndicated to Twitter. And then Sherry sent a tweet back. And then I can add that as a comment. Same thing with Kevin Hodgson's, or, as we all know him as Dog Tracks. So these comments come right in. So it's pretty awesome. But what's really cool is this idea of social readers. So here's screenshots of mine on my Android phone. I use an app called Indigenous, and you can see some of my feeds here. I have notice no notifications because I don't use notifications. Notifications equal drugs, bad. Keep them very limited. Poetry, literacies, open pedagogy, ed tech. Then so I click on ed tech, and then I will see this post from Mrs. Volk's third grade class and talking about how they set up their blog. That's awesome. But what's even cooler is see these replies, likes, reposts, bookmarks. I can interact with them from my reader. So I'm able to syndicate to Twitter, write a post back to her class, and then boom, you'll see right there, post is successful. All from my reader. That changes the way I teach. This gives us the ability to be our own social network. We don't need these third parties that just sell our data. Like, literally, we don't need them anymore. There's many ways to get started, and they go from the most complicated to turnkey. Like, for example, if you want to get started right away, like right now, you could launch Microblog, which is an awesome service. You just go to micro.blog. It's $5 a month. $10 if you actually want to have a podcasting app too. So if you ever want to get into podcasting, boom, all of it's just turnkey taken for you. It's $5 a month. It's awesome. People that are looking for escapes from Google Plus, I highly recommend you look into using Microblog as a community or just joining the community. It's really the only turnkey service currently right now for the IndieWeb community where you just hit a button and you go. At the next step of level is really your WordPress, your Blogger, and Known. So tons of us use WordPress. Look at all these plugins. These are all the IndieWeb plugins for WordPress. I mean, if you want to get on Mastodon and be on WordPress, if you want to get on Twitter and be on WordPress, if you want to create your own web rings and be on WordPress, you can do all of that. So there's a huge crowd of WordPress IndieWeb users. There's also, I think this is going to be a great way to import data from Google Plus using Takeout. And I do trust Google with the Takeout, especially I think a lot of their efforts around the data portability project and leading that efforts, I think we're going to be able to get our data out of Google Plus. And as either a JSON file or an HTML file, you'll be able to import these into your WordPress site, no problem. The same is true for Blogger. And you can add web mentions to Blogger. You just go to Bridgie, which is BRID.GY, Bridgie is the website. And then you can just click on Blogger to start receiving and sending web mentions. And in fact, I even did that tonight with my web. I haven't been on blog, I went from Blogger to WordPress to whatever, wherever the world will take me next, figuring this stuff out forever. But, here's a screenshot of all of my web mentions coming in. Now, I love these web mentions from Wikispaces. Wikispaces isn't even there anymore. Sad. But, I'm getting, So I'm starting to get all of these web mentions, and that's something you can do right away. Also, Google Plus to Blogger integration is super easy. You can have each post and all the comments with those posts just become Blogger posts quite easily. And I will talk about that more as we go along. There's also Known, which I use all the time. I have so many Known sites. Whenever we spin up a MOOC, I spin up a site. And it's pretty easy. It used to be, just a push button or a paid service, but the open source development is really starting to take off with Known. And you do have to set up a MySQL database and then install Known. However, if you're on Reclaim Hosting, a trick that I use is I will install an older version from cPanel, and then I will then go to upgrade Known using GitHub and SFTP. So if those last of those 6 words meant nothing to you, it might not be the approach you want to take. And you can look in at WordPress and Microblog or Blogger, but it's not hard. SFTP, it's just basically how we transferred files before Dropbox and Google Drive. We can figure it out, and there's an IndieWeb chat that can help you. When you're talking about what just works with all the IndieWeb tools and these blogging platforms, for me, I haven't found anything better than Known or possibly Microblog that works best. I prefer Known just because I get more post types like bookmarks and events and all these other different post types. And I'm sure those will come to Microblog as time goes on. And I love that site as well, too. I actually am a paid member just because the community is so great. So those are some options that can get you started. And then those for the super technical, you can just do it yourself, whether that's from spinning up a CMS or using a static site generator, or, these are people who use words like Hugo or Grav, or building up their, I guess that's a CMS too. So, but just basically, if you want to build it all out using the building blocks and you're going to create your own blogging platform, you can do that too. It's the IndieWeb. It's basically you set your goals and you make it your own, because the words don't really matter. So what do you do? How do you get involved? This is important. This really is we're talking about the future of the web. We're talking about the future of democracy. And I'm starting to see democracy not so much as a form of government, but as a form of experience, as experiencing a way of living in a sense. And I believe that we have to really consider how we're shaping our students' lives in online spaces. And we as teachers need to model that. And one way to do that is to get involved. And the first step is have a website. Literally, that's 95% of the journey. You get a website, you get a domain of your own, and you stuff all your stuff in there, and you're done. You're IndieWeb. I mean, I don't care what you call it. You're taking back your freedom. That's what matters. But maybe you want to take it to the next level as well. Well, you can attend any one of our events. If you go to IndieWeb.org, you'll see a list of events. We have homebrew website clubs coming up all over the world next week. We have IndieWeb camps in Nuremberg and Berlin that are about to start. IndieWeb Camp Austin was just announced. No date confirmed yet. But these events are happening all the time. And meetups now, just like this one, meetups are starting to pop up all over the place. I know that a meetup is being planned for Vancouver, a meetup's being planned for Providence. So there's tons of ways to attend an event. Just check the wiki and get involved. And then finally, you can just join us. We go to IndieWeb.org, search out for chat, go to chat.IndieWeb.org, find us, use the IndieWeb hashtag anywhere, and we'll find you. but there's tons of ways to get involved. So that's it. Um, and that's kind of my talk. So I guess that's about it for now. I'm going to just hang up, and then if people ping me, I will just start up another HOA. All right, all. Bye.